Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and today is the continued videos of the Battle Force series for December 2021. Today's video is going to be the Revenant Legion for the Soulblight Gravelords. We're going to be going over the various models, what they look like up close and personal, the various options that you could have chosen, as well as the various assembly issues that I did uncover when I assembled these models. Here we all are, barely able to fit into the one screen. We have 40 zombies, as I said. Now, the 40 zombies are 4 identical sprues. But there's more than 10 heads. I think there's 14 heads on each sprue. There's 10 bodies on each sprue, and some of the torsos are arms, legs, and at least one arm. So you're going to have a lot of similarities amongst them. All the heads can go on whichever body that you want. So we do have the same body, but we've got a different head and we've got different legs. And it makes it certainly similar, but when you add paint to the process and different skin tones and dirt and whatnot, you can certainly make the zombies look different. Now, that isn't so the case when it comes to things very unique, like these tombstones. Absolutely cool, but also very identifiable. So I never really used a tombstone in the same fashion. Made this one. This one now has a little scroll attached to it. Didn't have it attached to it at first. This is what it originally looked like. Had the little bell. Maybe assemble all of the bodies and make certain that all of the ones that look the same have different heads on them. That'd be a starting point. The skeletons are 2 10-man skeleton groups. I mean, they're skeletons. You can change, they look different. Their heads and most of their arms are something that you can change about. You do have the ability to make 2 banner bearers, but since I'm going to be doing a squad of 20 and you can only have 1 of these banner bearers per squad, I only have 1 created, but you do have enough to create more than 1. I put on spears, but I would actually suggest, based on how darn fragile they are, that you use the swords. Currently, there is no rule difference between the swords and spears. This is the exact same weapon in the eyes of the rules. So I'd say just go with the swords. They're less likely to be broken off. I went with the spears, but I'm probably gonna regret it a lot. Now, also the same can be said for these. These guys, the Blood Knights, they have enough to do fully helmeted heads or fully unhelmeted heads. Generally, the heads only fit on the 1 character, but it's only a little notch in the back keeping them in place, so you could carve that out and easily put whichever one you wanted on whichever body. These guys only have the singular pose, as do the shields have stirrups. Look at it. The shields have stirrups that match to 1 particular horse. You want to keep aware of the shield. You have to follow the assembly guide to match the shield to this horse. Otherwise, these stirrups are stirrups. The reins will not fit onto the model properly. You have the option of either these long lances or swords, and again, just like the skeletons, it's either or. There is no functional difference between the 2. I just like the look of the lances. I'm probably going to regret that because I'm assuming if this happens to fall, the lance is going to break off, though yeah, it's not too bad, and I'm hoping it'll break off at the arm instead of somewhere that I have to fix. I just chose the heads that I liked the best because there's vampires. They're not going to care about putting on helmets and safety and whatnot. That'd be silly. The heads that you don't use and the swords are really the only extra items that you get from here. Really like the look of these horses. Unfortunately, the bottom part of the model is connected to the horse. These two are not separate. Otherwise, I would have completely kept them separate. You cannot keep the horse separate from the rider. The rider and the horse are one piece of plastic. Well, two pieces of plastic that glue together. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, for the purposes of this display, I glued on the shield and the lance, but I would definitely say keep these guys off for painting because they do get in the way, as you can see. Though fitting this exactly to, so this shield and this part of the reins, attaches right there on that side and right about there on that side. Doing that after you paint it is going to be difficult to pull off without having to use extra glue. So despite the difficulty in painting, you may want to consider putting on the shield anyway. But if you're very comfortable with sub-assembly following painting, then don't worry about it. Here's this fella. As you can see, these pieces attach. This is one solid piece. So you'll have to attach it to the horse's mouth following. And this piece that loops around the horse's head is also one separate piece. This fellow is the castellan. You do have the option to not do a castellan and just do a regular blood knight. I like this helm. The helm looks better than the other helms. I actually did not attach this. I'm not going to pull it off. I guess I can pull it off. I didn't glue this on. It just fits on right nicely. So that I can paint the horse without having his cloak in the way. Thankfully. And this shield doesn't have any attachments to it, so you can easily keep that off if you want to take better care with taking care of your castellan. There's no reins to worry about. The shield and arm attaches at the shoulder, so it would be straightforward to keep it off. This is the banner bearer. You don't need to have a banner bearer. There is enough options to give her a lance or sword instead, but of course I do want a banner bearer. I would definitely not. Oh, it looks like looks like I didn't leave it long enough to dry. Definitely looks like it. She moved it down a bit. Well, it's alright. I only put on the glue lightly because I'm going to take her arm off so that I can paint this banner without it being on there. So the glue is coming off. This is definitely one that you're going to have to hold, or it's going to happen like this. This is quite a heavy piece of plastic for this one little attachment, so you're going to have to add a fair bit of glue and actually hold it, not like I did, and wait for it to dry properly before letting it go. But that's alright because I want to tear it off anyway. This is her banner's on just for display purposes. There's her face. Here are the swords that I didn't use. They're very nice. They're very nice swords. They are not the same. Everyone is different. As you can see, but they're all pretty looking swords. Might use them from anywhere else. There's the extra lance that you get if you're using the banner bearer. And here is the face that I decided not to use because I thought it was just not my style. But there she is. And that's all that's on that sprue. And there's another sword. So I got 5 extra swords. a little extra piece there and a couple of these extra heads that I'll use some there for something. Maybe a gargoyle, perhaps. All right. Now, lastly is this fellow. He is the very last person that you should assemble. If you're new to assembly, don't start this one. Or maybe at the middle one, because you might be exhausted after assembling all of these guys. Make certain you are exuding patience when you start assembling him. So there are wings that dare to break off all the time that you are assembling. Be wary of that. Maybe keep some long pieces of sprue because you may need to you may need to fix one of these at some point. I would not be surprised if people have already broken these. The tail, same sort of thing. Be wary. And his sword. And his fingers. This is a very fragile piece. Also, it does not attach that well. Well, you can follow the assembly guide, except I would suggest it says to attach this outer piece to the body before attaching his face. I would not suggest that. I would suggest attaching his head to his collar before attaching it to here. It's just easier. I would suggest attaching this back piece first to his shoulder and then attaching this front piece after. It'll just make it easier. And you have got to pay attention to where everything is. The faster you do this model's bottom part, the easier it will be for you. Don't really pay attention to the fit of where he sits on these pieces. That's not important. What's really important is to make certain that these align well, because this piece right here squeezes in between the two legs, and if you don't have the legs aligned properly, this piece is going to look very awkward. Also, there is going to be join lines galore. I had to use a fair bit of plastic glue to make the join lines disappear. For the most part, like there's one there that I'll have to do even more. The dragons that I recently did, Stormcast Eternal dragons, which worked really hard to hide all of the join lines. Not here. This guy did not try very hard to hide the mold lines or join lines associated with him. I had to do all that work. So make certain you're listening to something that makes you happy for a long time, because it's going to take a while. It's going to be a bit aggravating. And try not to break any of his pieces. He does look pretty cool afterwards. Oh, and I am actually missing two pieces right here because I just thought he looked better without. I mean, that's up to you to decide. Right there and right there. I did not attach those pieces because I just liked him better without. Just an option. I might attach him. I'm not sure. I might not. Kind of like him without. You let me know what you think. Should I attach it? Should I not attach it? I don't know. The lady who can only go for one subfaction, I'm going to go with Vercoast Dynasty for mine, so the lady can't go with him. She just fits basically all of this is the exact same for her all the way down. It's all the same, and just this little area right there is different. So you get those extra pieces. She has a full-on extra head. I don't know where I'm going to use her an extra head, because her head is certainly larger than any of those. Noticeably different sized heads. So maybe you'd want to use her as something else. I'm not certain where. Yeah, okay. That's it now. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make certain you comment below if you have any questions whatsoever about any of the models that I did not cover in this video. Oh boy, that's a lot of models. What do you think of this battle force? I find that it is fantastic. You want a lot of zombies. You want a whole bunch of skeletons, and the Blood Knights and that Lord are good models anyway. So I'm pleased. Well, what do you think? Also, here are the points cost of what's inside the box. As you can see, you got a little army all by itself. Would you want to get 2 of these boxes? Oh, that would be a lot of zombies. 80 zombies. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a whole lot of models to assemble. With 80 zombies, 40 skeletons. That's quite the horde. 10 Blood Knights. I could see that being useful. The one question would be, would you want another Vengorian Lord? Or would you like a Vengorian Lord plus the character if you're going along with her chosen dynasty? And that's the big question, though. I'm not certain whether I'd want 2 of the Vengorian Lords, but there's no big reason not to have them. So maybe, but all the other ones, I mean, 80 zombies is quite a lot. Also, since you'll be creating zombies from your opponent's models, it's always nice to have some extra zombies around. Anyway, I will catch you in the next video. Bye! Subscribe if you haven't already. Grrr. Arg.